today's live stream, biggest motivators of progress, one of them being self-expression, the other being freedom, the sense of freedom. I talk about this because I have a mass amount of data in terms of talking to producers, and I see what producers are into, what motivates producers, what pushes producers to succeed, and just stay in the game to want to get better, right? So I would say about 9 out of 10 producers I speak to, if not, I can't say every producer, but like a majority of producers I speak to fall into one of the two categories or both, right? So first one is self-expression. They produce music for the sake of self-expression. Keep on repeating myself. And this is a highly powerful, right? So producers usually come to me and say, Vardy, like, how do I get to sound professional? And when I ask them, why do you want to sound professional? They say, because I want to be able to express myself to the fullest, right? However I want music to be heard, like the ideas I have in my head, I want them to translate to something that sounds the way I want to, be meaningful, right? So self-expression is key here. And a lot of times, the most frustrating thing is when you get to a point where you've hit a wall in production for whatever reason, right? Creative block, technical block, over listening and not knowing what's next in the track, right? This often tends to go against the ability for you to properly express yourself, right? So self-expression is super key, and part of the process and the progress of getting to a point where you are able to self-express yourself better through time is what keeps you showing up. You learn something new, you show up, and then you end up writing music that sounds just a bit better, or just a bit better in terms of how you want to express the song. So most producers are naturally drawn to music through a form of self-expression, right? The beauty about self-expression, you could be someone that, for example, you could have, let's say, some sort of disability and not be able to speak at all, and you could still write music and express yourself. What's up, Ali G? How's it going? So self-expression is key, and it's a massive motivator to want to produce music that sounds to your standards, whatever that is, because it basically tells the world who you are, right? I personally would never compromise on that, and I would put everything I got behind that to make sure that what I'm writing really expresses what I'm trying to communicate. Number 2, freedom. A lot of producers fall in this category of seeking freedom through music production. And what do I mean by that? In some cases, it means being able to be your own boss. In some cases, it means not having a job and just working on music. Being able to pay your bills through music, right? These are all thoughts that a lot of producers think that it's a luck related thing. It's far from being luck. It all comes back to how much of a skill set do you have so you can monetize that skill set, or as an artist, or preferably as a service provider in any sense. Now, a lot of people have this inclination that providing services through music production is, oh, I would never want to do that because it's my music, it's my art, and I don't want to compromise on that. There is no compromise if you work on projects you're excited about, right? So imagine being at a point where you're producing really good sounding music and you have skill set, and people come to you and say like, hey, John, like your music sounds great. Can you help me do X, Y, Z? You then decide if you want to work with that music or not, right? And if you're doing great work and your work spreads, you then start having people coming to you and you get to choose who you want to work with. Imagine the sense of freedom that comes from not only doing what you love, making money in doing what you love, and also selecting who do you work with and being your own boss. It's massive. Most people don't have this. They're stuck at a job that they unfortunately don't like, and music has a way to provide this sense of freedom and independence. But it all starts at one point, right? So and I'm going to talk to you what that point is. Producers usually what they want to do is they crack a software, a DAW, or they buy one. I hope you buy it. And they're able to put sounds together, export a track, and get to a point where years have gone by and their skill set's getting better, and they're like, why am I not making it, right? Why am I not where I want to be in music, right? It requires immense amount of effort to be able to be at a point where you've reached some level of mastery in the studio, right? Don't try to shortcut it. Don't try to like jump like 5 years ahead and pretend that it's going to work for you with the limited skill set you have. So I wanted to do this live stream because I want to change your thought process. Whatever you do for work, I'm assuming you're still not fired at it because you're good at what you do. And you're most probably good at what you do because you spend time in it. And you spend a lot of time in it. Now, if it's a very basic admin type of job that anyone can learn in a couple of months, like I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like work that you have actually committed to and you're actually making money through, right? Proper money. Now, in that case, you've built a skill set which you do your work very, very well and someone's willing to pay you for it. It's the same thing in music, just at a higher level. Same concept, right? What is that you have to offer? If your production is half-assed, if your mixing is half-assed, and there's nothing you can do to offer, then no one's going to work with you, right? So the sense of freedom that producers always talk about is the idea and the imagination of like, oh, I want to be working in a studio and actually live off it, and how amazing that would be. But that all starts at step one, and that step one is producing music that sounds professional. Having a skill set where you show up at the studio and you could actually offer value to other people. To be there, it requires a lot of work, right? That's why there's education. That's why I educate you guys all the time. And there's a lot of different ways you could get there. But this concept that it's luck, oh, it's never going to happen to me, you need to be lucky, or only the lucky ones actually make a living off music. I'm a great example. I've never been lucky. I failed 9 out of 10 times in whatever I've done. I'm still here. I'm living off music, and I've lived off music as an artist, as a service provider, as an educator, all around, right? So I want you guys to remember there's 2 reasons why music producers produce usually. A, it's a form of self-expression, and they want to express themselves at a very high level. That requires you to up your skills at a very high level very quickly so you can express yourself properly. I don't think you want to cheat yourself out of that. Number 2, it's a sense of freedom of being able to do it through a living. And there's many ways to make money off music. People want to jump and make the money without having high level skills to offer. Focus on the skills, get it to a high level. The faster you get there, the faster you can start monetizing and getting a sense of that freedom if you're doing it right. So if you take education that advances your skill set, right, and it saves you years, right? Let's say it saves you 3 years of you doing it by yourself. Now you could start monetizing and getting that sense of self-expression and freedom 3 years before you would have. And try to extrapolate and figure out those 3 years that I would have missed on as a professional, how much would that have cost me in terms of opportunities, in terms of labels wanting to sign me, in terms of playing shows, in terms of mixing and mastering and making money to live off it, in terms of educating, in terms of maybe writing music for film and TV, whatever it is you want to do. There's not one way, there's so many ways. So always ask yourself, the faster I get to a point where I could confidently produce good, high level quality music, the faster I could start monetizing my skill set. So my question is like, what is it that you're waiting for? Why is it that you just want to do it by yourself, knowing that it's going to take 10 years longer, right? I just want you to reflect on this. If you're serious about the sense of properly express, like self-expression in music and getting freedom in music, being able to live off it, first question you got to answer, where am I production-wise right now? How much work do I need to get to a professional level so I can monetize that skill as an artist or a service provider?